What's going on, and welcome to the Solo Shot. My name is Tom Vecchio. We have an 11-game MLB slate to start the week. Lock is set for 7:05. As always, this is one of the many shows on the FanDuel Podcast Network. You can find that anywhere, whether it's Apple Podcasts, whether it's Spotify, you name it. Give it a like, follow, or subscribe. Leave a review. That is greatly appreciated. And you can follow me on Twitter at Tom_Vecchio1. Before we hop into things, get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-drawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG if you're in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, or Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. If you're in Indiana, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. If you're in Louisiana, call 1-877-770-STOP. If you're in Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. In West Virginia, call 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In Wyoming, call 1-800-522-4700. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. NFL Sunday Ticket offers ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. All right, let's jump into tonight's 11-game MLB slate. Again, lock is set for 7:05. We are dealing with a bit of weather to start the week, and there are a number of games that could be impacted. Majority of them on the East Coast, or a few of them on the East Coast at least. The Boston Red Sox, they're at home hosting the New York Yankees. Potential for rain at the start of the game, throughout the game. It's going to be a mess, and it's probably going to be somewhat of the same for the New York Mets. It's probably going to be earlier for the Mets, where it could be leading up to game time. I'd be more, I think we're going to see a delay for the Mets, and then it'll eventually clear up. They'll be good to go. It's obviously moving, up to the east, and that's where it could be a problem for Boston. So kind of a bad or worse situation for Boston. It should be okay for the Mets. And then for the Chicago White Sox, they're at home hosting the Kansas City Royals. It's probably just going to be a mess the whole game. Just rain throughout. Don't know what we're going to be expecting there. We do have Coors Field on tonight's slate. It is a little bit cooler at Coors Field. It's going to be below 70, but it's still Coors. Still plenty of potential for scoring. Let's jump into pitching on this 11-game slate, which is absolutely loaded up at the top, starting off with Tyler Glasnow at 11.5, Brandon Woodruff at 11,000, Framber Valdez at 10.8, Logan Gilbert at 10.2, Sonny Gray at 9.8, Jesus Luzardo at 9.7, Chris Bassett at 9.5, and Jose Quintana at 9,000. Quite a few options, not only above 9,000, but above 10,000. There's 4 of them that are above 10,000. And again, we have Coors Field on tonight's slate. So where do we want to be going? I would say it's pretty clear that Tyler Glasnow is the best pitcher on tonight's slate. And he really showed it in this most recent game against the Boston Red Sox when he had 14 strikeouts in just 6 innings. Do I expect him to have 14 strikeouts again? No, but could he have 8, 9, 10? I think that's certainly a possibility going up against Minnesota, a team that is certainly very susceptible when it comes to strikeouts. So now when it comes to Glasnow, he has an awesome 33.5% strikeout rate this season, only a 7% walk rate, 0.90 home runs per 9 allowed, an absolutely awesome 3.01 SIERA, mainly medium contact pitcher at 44.7%, and a ground ball pitcher at 51.1%. He has that strikeout upside not only this year, but really what he's shown throughout his career. Again, I don't expect 14 strikeouts from Glasnow, but 8, 9, 10, I think is certainly in the mix tonight. When it comes to Minnesota, they come in with a 25.5% strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching with their current active roster, which is the third worst in the league. So, man, Glasnow is peaking right now in terms of his strikeout production. And this is a matchup that really should help accentuate that. And when it comes to Glasnow, for some further stats, he has a 17.1% swinging strike rate this season, which is absolutely unbelievable. Now, it's a little bit of a smaller sample size for Glasnow. He missed some time. This is coming from a 99.2 inning sample size, which is the most he's pitched since 2018. So, yeah, he's dealt with some injuries, but, man, he has that strikeout rate going right now, and this is the kind of matchup that we absolutely love for, again, like a 50-point type of fantasy performance from Glasnow. The issue is that he's $11,500. He's the most expensive pitcher on tonight's slate. And again, we have Coors Field. We also have the Dodgers on tonight's slate. And these are two teams, or two scenarios, I should say. Coors with the Cubs and the Rockies. These are three teams that we'd love to be stacking. Brandon Woodruff at 11,000, I think, is an awesome pitcher. Kind of a similar situation. Miami doesn't strike out as much versus righties. Woodruff still has a 31.3% strikeout rate, so it's very, very comparable to Tyler Glasnow. The problem is it's only a $500 or $500 salary difference between them, so you're essentially getting to the same point. If you're trying to roster one of them, you could probably find a 500 extra just to get up to Glasnow, who I do think is in a little bit of a better spot. If Glasnow is going to be a little bit more popular and Woodruff's going to be falling a bit under the radar, I think he's certainly fine to be going to. We have Framber Valdez on tonight's slate at 10.8. He's at home going up against Oakland. The first few starts for Valdez this side of the All-Star break were a bit rocky, but he's kind of evened out since then. And this is a matchup I think we just want to trust, right? He's 10.8. I could see myself going him ahead of Glasnow simply due to the salary relief. It's not a big deal. It's not, 700 isn't that much of a difference, but going up against Oakland is just far easier than going up against Minnesota. And that's really what we want to be getting to with Valdez, combined with the salary relief, which is certainly nice. A 23.7% strikeout rate for Valdez is obviously not nearly as high as Woodruff or Glasnow, but 0.82 home runs per nine is certainly very solid. Coming in with a 3.74 CR is awesome. There's no doubt about that. And mainly medium contact ground ball pitcher from Valdez, which is what we expect to see. And again, it's going up against Oakland. They come in with a 23.8% strikeout rate versus lefties with their current active roster, which is the 11th worst in the league. So, in theory, or in reality, I should say, Minnesota strikes out at a higher clip in their split, versus righties compared to Oakland. And we do see Glasnow striking out batters at a higher rate compared to Valdez. But given the salary, given the matchup, Oakland is still a good team to be attacking with Framber Valdez. So we have three awesome pitchers right to start. And then let's not forget about Logan Gilbert at 10.2. He's at home going up against the Angels. Gilbert's a solid pitcher, 25.4% strikeout rate, 4.5% walk rate is absolutely awesome to see. He does allow 1.24 home runs per nine, which is okay. He's like right on the edge between a ground ball and a fly ball pitcher. He's still mostly medium contact, and then 3.67 Sierra is, something that we should absolutely love. And, granted, this matchup is just something that I'm going to be continually going back to against the Angels, especially as we end the season. No Trout. Ohtani, whether he's in and out of the lineup, I don't think it matters that much. Gilbert's still an awesome pitcher, and I think this is just an overall kind of get-right spot for the Mariners. They're on a 2 or 3 game losing streak after they played Tampa over the weekend, and this is the match for them just to kind of get back on track in a very tight AL West / wild card race for them. So I like Gilbert to go out there, 7 innings, 1, maybe 2 earned runs, get a good amount of strikeouts, because this still is a good matchup. LA, they come in with a 25.6% strikeout rate versus righties, which is with their current active roster, which is the second worst in the league. So this is a chance for Gilbert to kind of show that strikeout rate, which he's been known to have over the past few seasons, and really get the Mariners back on track, like I said, against the lineup that really isn't that good right now. So I will take Gilbert, and, at 10.2, I'll take 1,300 of salary relief compared to Glasnow, even though I do consider Glasnow the best pitcher on tonight's slate in the best matchup going up against Minnesota. The question becomes is, where do we go outside of some of these top pitchers just because they're so expensive? Now, granted, they're all awesome, and a lot of them are in great spots, but again, we have Coors Field on tonight's slate. We have the Dodgers on tonight's slate. We want to be paying up for these higher salaries. Where do we go? I could see myself going to Gavin Williams for Cleveland. He's 7,200. Obviously, that's a very, very friendly salary when it comes to roster construction. On the road in San Francisco, it's a great pitcher's park. Gavin Williams has shown some really nice strikeout stuff this year. He has a 24.4% strikeout rate, which is okay. He has flashed it, too higher at times. He has a 10.5% walk rate, which is obviously very, very concerning. He has a 4.48 Sierra. Medium contact, ground ball / fly ball pitcher. It's actually 38.3% ground ball rate for Gavin Williams and 38.8% fly ball. So it's nearly identical, but 57.4% medium contact rate is good to see, especially in a park as they have out in San Francisco, which we know is very, very favorable for pitchers. Right now, this is more about the matchup and his salary, which I think is something that we want to be factoring in, where no one's going to say that Gavin Williams is as good of a pitcher as Glasnow or Woodruff or Gilbert or Valdez or even Sonny Gray, who I didn't touch on, or some of these pitchers, but really his salary is something that we want to be focusing in on, especially on a slate that, again, we have Coors Field. And granted, San Francisco, they come in with a 24% strikeout rate versus righties right now at their current active roster, which is the 10th worst in the league. And they only have a 101 WRC plus in this split. So they're barely above league average, and they're striking out at a good amount. So with Gavin Williams' salary, he's an option that I could certainly see myself going to, as I expand the player pool. I absolutely want to be paying up for one of those top pitchers just to kind of lock in that safety. But 7,200 in this matchup against San Francisco is something that I certainly have my eye on. As we move over to stacks, we have Coors Field on tonight's slate. Colorado hosting the Chicago Cubs. Stack either team. It's pretty much a given when Coors Field is on the slate. As I mentioned, it's a little bit cooler at Coors night. It's going to be a bit under 70, but it's still the best hitters park in the league. There's no doubt you should be looking to get exposure to this game, anytime it's at, or this matchup anytime it's at Coors Field. That's a pretty much given. We also have the Dodgers on tonight's slate. And as I mentioned before, I don't necessarily love talking about the Dodgers or the Braves, or Coors Field to an excessive degree, because we know what we're going to be getting from them, or we know not only what we could be getting from them, but really what their potential is. And that's double-digit runs, basically by the fifth inning before you can blink, they're going to put up 3-4 home runs, and they're going to be scoring all these runs. And that's what we have tonight. So stack Coors Field with Colorado or the Cubs. Stack the Dodgers. I absolutely love them tonight. There's no doubt about that. But where else can we be going outside of that? Number one is with Seattle. And as I said, this is a bit of a get-right spot for them on this 2 or 3 game losing streak. They're going up again against the Angels. Reed Detmers will be on the mound for the Angels. He's a pitcher that has some strikeout ability, but really the downside for Detmers, I think, is much more interesting than potentially being worried about him on the mound. He's allowing 1.24 home runs per 9. He does have a 25.8% strikeout rate, which is certainly solid. A 9.5% walk rate is something that is very, very dangerous, combined with his mostly fly ball pitching, which is at 40.4%, and a 36.6% hard contact rate. So what do we have here? A pitcher, sure, he's got some strikeout upside. We've seen it from Detmers at times, but the walk rate combined with the home runs going up against Seattle, who certainly has a lot of power in their lineup, that is what we want to be shooting for. And when it comes to Seattle, we know that they have a ton of power in their lineup, obviously led by Julio Rodriguez up at $4,500. And he is their most expensive hitter by a large margin. He is $4,500. And then J.P. Crawford at $3,300 is the next most expensive player on Seattle. So I would love to get to J-Rod any single time he's on the slate. I mean, we know he can do 3-4 hits seemingly every other night. But if we're trying to pay up for pitching, there's times where a 3-man stack from Seattle, excluding J-Rod, might be the case. And it might be J.P. Crawford. Teoscar Hernandez has been really on fire for a large majority of August. Coming into September, I think he's awesome tonight at 3,200. Cal Raleigh at 3,100 is also a player you should be considering. Eugenio Suarez at 2,900. Ty France at 2,900. So a little bit of salary relief from Seattle going up against Detmers is something that we need when we have Coors Field. If you're trying to pair them with a team there, you're trying to pair them with the Dodgers and pay up for pitching. So J-Rod at 4,500 is always a great option. And, this is where, realistically, this is where Gavin Williams could come into play, where you need that salary relief to pay up for a couple top stacks. And J-Rod just doesn't fit if you're paying up for Woodruff or Glasnow, who are 11,000 and above. So I absolutely love J-Rod tonight if I can afford him, and that might be where Gavin Williams comes into play. But really, Teoscar Hernandez, Cal Raleigh, going to Ty France, going to Eugenio Suarez, this is a pretty viable stack going up against Reed Detmers. So that is, again, and I just feel this is a clear bounce back spot for Seattle across the board after this. I think it's a sweep. They got swept in Tampa over the weekend, but this is just a spot that I want to be going to Seattle, not only for Logan Gilbert, but also for their hitters. I also think we should be looking at the Houston Astros tonight going up against the Athletics. I spoke about Framber Valdez, and now let's talk about the hitters from the Astros. Ken Waldichuk will be on the mound for the Athletics, a pitcher we do not need to worry about in any capacity. He comes in with a 12.2% walk rate, a 21.2% strikeout rate, 1.58 home runs per 9 allowed. He has a 4.99 Sierra Skill Interactive ERA, and he's mostly a fly ball pitcher at 39.2%. Yeah, I'll take the Astros in this spot 10 times out of 10 against a pitcher that allows runners on for free at a 12.2% rate. And yes, I will take not the Athletics. I will take the Astros going up against the Athletics. Now, of course, Houston, they've been hot as of late, and most of their hitters, if not all of the ones, at least the ones that we want, are very expensive, with Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, Chas McCormick, and Kyle Tucker, all 3,500 and above, led off by Altuve and Alvarez at 42 and 4,100 respectively. So yeah, this is a stack that I certainly have a ton of interest in. And, frankly, they could be a nice pivot away from Coors Field. If you get some indication throughout the day that Coors Field is just going to be super, super chalky tonight, depending on, where things lie, whatever it might be between, salaries of pitching, what the optimal lineup could look like, what the starting lineups for the teams look like. If we see that Houston is going to be slightly under the radar, this is a spot that I absolutely love them and really could be, a spot to score like 10 runs, pop off at 3-4 home runs, as they've been known to do, especially over the past few weeks. And again, we have the Dodgers on tonight's slate. So really, Coors Field, the two teams there, the Dodgers, and then Seattle and Houston. These are 5 great teams to be stacking tonight, anytime that they're on the slate, especially tonight, given the power upside that they all have. All right, when it comes to home run calls to close things out, I'm going to be going with Teoscar Hernandez. Like I said, I love this matchup for him going up against Reed Detmers. He has been super, super hot, especially the second half of the season, especially in August. Again, I'm expecting big things from the Mariners tonight. That is very, very clear. And then touching on a team that I didn't necessarily talk about, and that's going to be going to Rafi Devers from the Boston Red Sox. And again, this game does have some rain. I didn't want to touch on the Red Sox too much because of the rain potential or the worry of rain in this game. But, Devers just kind of, for lack of a better term, he kind of just owns the Yankees, not only this year, but over the past few seasons. And more importantly, Clark Schmidt, while he's looked okay in some recent starts, he's still struggling versus lefties overall. He's allowing a 5.04 slugging to lefties this year and 1.23 home runs per 9, along with a 36.9% fly ball rate. And Devers just seemingly always brings it against the Yankees. So I really do like this matchup for Devers and some of the other Red Sox hitters. It's just that the rain is such a big issue today that I'd be willing to roll with Devers as a one-off, like going with like a 4-3-1 stack and taking Devers as a one-off. So I'm not like hinging my lineups on a Red Sox stack where I'll just have one exposure to them, given the potential of rain in Boston tonight. So we have a ton of great pitchers. We have like legitimately at least 5 great teams to be stacking tonight between Coors Field, the Dodgers, Seattle, and Houston. We really should be in for a higher scoring slate. All right, so that does it for today's podcast. As always, can be found on Apple Podcasts, can be found on Spotify. The video version can be found on the FanDuel YouTube page. It can be found on FanDuel TV Plus. It also can be found on FanDuel.com/watch. You can follow me on Twitter at Tom_Vecchio1. And until next time, good luck in your contests.